shamayim va'aretz, esainai el heharim, me'ayin yavo ezri, esainai el heharim, me'ayin yavo ezri. In the words of Ecclesiastes, a season is set for everything, a time for every experience under heaven, a time for dancing and a time for wailing, a time for birthing and a time for dying, a time for speaking and a time for silence, a time for seeking and a time for losing. Thank you for being here today on behalf of the family as we mourn the loss and celebrate the life of Josephine Symes Josefa bat Shlomo Avraham Vimindel, who has gone to her eternal resting place. She is preceded in death by her parents, Minnie and Samuel, husbands Robert and Hyman, sister and brother-in-law Frimma and Ken, and son-in-law Alan. She's survived by her children, Sandra, David, and partner Rose, Jim, and Judy, grandchildren Roberta and her Jason, Tiffany and her David, Ruvain and his Naomi, Mendel and his Sarah, Shayna and her Ben, Danielle and fiance Sam, Brittany, Ellie, and 8 great-grandchildren, as well as extended family members and friends. As we think about her passing in life, we'll start today by reaching into our tradition to Psalm 23. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai roi lo echsar, bino sheyarbitzeni, al mei menuchot, yenahaleini. Nafshi yeshovev, yancheni v'magle tzedek, yancheni v'magle tzedek, leman shemo. גם כי אלך בגיא צל המוות, לא יירא רע כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דשנת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני, כל ימי חיי. דשבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. Psalm of David. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You've anointed my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. When hearing about someone's life, it's most important to hear from those closest to her. So here's a eulogy composed by her children. Baba Joe, a blessed memory, composed by Sandra, David, and Jim. Josephine was born on April 9th, 1925, to parents Minnie and Samuel A. Gordon. She grew up in St. Paul and spent her entire life here at Bayard and Davern, then Hartford and Davern, and then all the way across the river in Mendota Heights. She attended Maddox Grade School and later graduated from St. Paul Central High School and went on to further her education at the University of Minnesota. Josephine enjoyed spending time with at her parents' White Bear Lake summer cottage, along with her sister Frima and both their families, together with Baba and Zeta in later years. After World War II, Josephine married our dad, Robert H. Berg, Bob, also of blessed memory, and together they raised our family, taught us all about life, to remember our roots, to always help others, and never begrudge others for what they may have. Our mom was not a huge fan by any means of pets per se. However, Mom was very supportive and accommodating of the large array of pets our dad brought home for us and himself during our younger years. These pets, kept in our backyard and in our house on Hartford Avenue, our mother helped care for, including but were not limited to many, many dogs, sometimes more than one at a time, goldfish and guppies by the hundreds and a dozen or so fish bowls on our mantel in our living room fireplace, roosters, chickens, ducks, geese, turtles, a lamb, a baby alligator, frogs and toads by the dozen brought home from White Bear Lake, and a host of other creatures during our childhood days. Way back in the day, Mom was a preschool teacher at Temple of Aaron, a Cub Scout leader, and a Brownie and Girl Scout leader. Mom was a true cheerleader for our family and supported everything we did or wanted to do during the course of our lives, including bringing us bubble gum and then to go for ice cream cones after baseball games. She also played piano, and she got her kids to play cornet, piano, guitar, and more. She was also the hostess with the mostest, and for Jim and the Magic Club, she put it a spread which was nicer than the club was used to. And by the time the third time came around to host the club, Mom was holding full meals, and they would come early just for her food. Not only was Mom a great host, but an excellent cook and baker, and took pride in attending her culinary arts classes, making recipes from her mother, Bubba Gordon, as well as Mom's own recipes for all occasions, whether they be holidays, birthdays, the Shriners picnics, bar bat mitzvahs, 4th of July, and celebrations of any kind. Mom was always on top of her game, baking to the themes of every event represented. She loved entering her baked goods at the state fair, as well as everything made from scratch. Everything looked like pieces of art, from cookies as flowers to carved fruit. She used to win ribbons for all her baked goods at the fair, and they tasted good too. She was edible arrangements before edible arrangements. Everything from Mom was always homemade and not store-bought. She made filling from scratch for her pies and picked and made applesauce with us kids. We even grew our own corn, and she made it into amazing dishes. One day we asked Mom for White Castle, and all of a sudden she made kosher White Castle burgers on mini square buns, homemade by Mom, just for us. Her creativity was not just in food, but in all her decorating. She even won the Temple of Aaron Hanukkah house decorating contest and did homemade decorations for every holiday. Our family's fifth-generation steel and scrap iron and metals business, started by our great-grandfather Abe Goldberg back in 1902 to 1903, was also supported by our mom, as she and our Aunt Betty Berg, of blessed memory, were the first two ladies to be outside steel sales representatives in the steel industry back in the early 1960s. Also in the late 1950s, early 60s, Mom joined in with Dad's passion of antique collecting and began taking classes from renowned antique professors and regional teachers in the art of antique, identifying, collecting, and marketing. Thus was soon born the Wooden Trunk Antique Shop, with the help of a few of her dear lady friends. Also devoted antique buffs, they began their antique business for the next 40-plus years on Payne Avenue on St. Paul's East Side, Antique Shop Row. For some of us, for one of us, the apple didn't fall far from the tree. After the sudden passing of our father in 1975, our mom bought out the partners in the family business and helped with and guided the family business for many years. Fast forward to 1987, Mom remarried Hi Symes. Hi's family were lifelong friends of Mom and Dad, and Hi's children and us, as we were all in the same group and schools together. Mom and I enjoyed going on many vacation trips together and spending winters at High's condo in Florida. She loved being with him and the entire family. Our mom enjoyed a long life of family and friends throughout her 98 and a half years, and thank God above for the opportunity to be her children and her being our mom. Thank you all for your kind words and for sharing that with all of us today. I'll now call upon grandson Ruvain for a few words.
I always saw my Baba as the central figure that connected our extended family. She was knowledgeable about our family history and meticulous in the way she executed her plans. My Baba was kind, loving, and generous. She made it possible for my siblings and me to engage with Jewish life in a meaningful way, encourage our exploration of the world around us, and imparted the importance of being polite and proper. Everyone I knew who knew my Baba respected her charisma, wisdom, and kindness. Not everyone gets to spend as much time over the years as I had the opportunity to share with her. And even if I didn't hear it from her directly, other family members, whether it was my mom, uncles, or other family members, shared lessons that my Baba had shared with them. I have fond memories from my childhood, including Passover meals, summer vacation visits, and even a cruise to Alaska. My Baba was not a sit around in a rocking chair type. Instead, she was curious, active, and engaged with her community, her family, and her friends. Many of the opportunities I've had in my life were a result of her kindness, love of her grandchildren, and desire to encourage the next generation. I always felt special as I was frequently reminded that I was her first grandchild, and subsequently my children were her first great-grandchildren. Whenever somebody mentions the name Josephine Berg Symes to me, I feel great pride in acknowledging that she was my Baba. I love you, and we will all miss you in our lives.
Thank you, Ruvain. We'll now call upon Brittany, Danielle, and Ellie for a few words about their grandmother.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know us, I'm Brittany. This is Ellie. This is Danielle. We are three of Josephine's granddaughters. And since we grew up from the street from her, having weekly family dinners, including birthday meals with homemade birthday cake, we wanted to share some of the life lessons that our Baba taught us.
All right, number one. Just below 241 West 7th Street, Aladdin's Antique Alley is where things were meant to be looked at, not touched. But you were always allowed to play dress-up in mink and practice using the rotary dial phone.
Number two, referees don't always wear whistles. Baba had the honor of refereeing between the three of us when we were younger, and maybe once or twice as adults, but she did a pretty good job because now we all like each other.
Number three, always have your nails done. We made sure to do this and follow the rule today. Number four, don't yuck other people's yums. The three of us are all picky in our own ways, so we would get this response from Baba growing up quite often. After years of trying, she didn't get us to try the chopped liver, but we did discover there's no grasshoppers in grasshopper pie, and that is actually pretty tasty.
Number five, no slurping your soup directly from the bowl. Although this rule is questionable, as we did witness Baba doing this herself a few years ago.
Number six, the best midnight snacks come from the cinnamon bear hiding in the kitchen.
Number seven, no Dalmatians in Baba and Grandpa's condo. However, she accepts four-legged visitors on the yellow brick road.
Number eight, winter breaks are meant to be spent in Florida at Baba and Grandpa's. We became pro shuffleboard players and watched Napoleon Dynamite for the first time, and Neapolitan ice cream was a staple.
Number 9, Baba taught us the tips and tricks on baking literally anything. She was the baker we wanted to impress.
Number 10, you're never too old to be called a dolly. Bonus rule, whether you pronounce it Baba or Bubba, it all means the same. We love our Bubba Joe.
Thank you all for sharing those rules. I may even use some of those in my life. Probably not my nails, but a few others. On behalf of the family, we want to thank all of you for being here in person as well as online. And also a special thank you to all of those at Shalom who helped in this past more difficult time in her life. Just a reminder, the interment will take place right after we are finished here and Shiva this evening here at Temple of Aaron. Everyone is also invited back here for lunch after the interment at Temple of Aaron Cemetery. While I love hearing about her in so many ways and meeting her at other times, and I said to the family before this that she was always put together and really ready for the next adventure in her life at all times. And she had a true zest for life and a love for her family and friends. And when thinking about Josephine, I think about our foremothers in the Torah. Sarah had a positive attitude just like Josephine. Rivka helped those in need throughout her life and put the needs of others before her own, like Josephine. Leah did anything she could for her children and family, just like Josephine. And Rachel was beloved by those who came in contact with her, just like Josephine. Throughout her 98 and a half years, Josephine's caring, positive, encouraging attitudes and a beacon of light to those she encountered. And her life should be an example for how each of us should move forward from this great loss. May Josephine help us move forward in a better way, and may her memory be for a blessing as we remember her today and every day. Amen. We now rise for the El Maleh Rachamim, the final resting prayer. El Maleh Rachamim shochen bamromim Hametzei menucha nechona תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע גם מזהירים את נשמת יוסף בת שלמה אברהם ומינדו שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן תמנוחתה אהנה ברחמים מסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוח בשלום על משכבה ונאמר Amen. El Maleh Rachamim, exalt and compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Josephine who is gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. And let us say, Amen.